What's up, guys? We are officially live for today's Q&A for eyelash extensions. Give everybody a couple of minutes to settle in and we will get started. We did get some questions submitted beforehand for this month's YouTube live, but we're also going to do something a little bit different. After about like 10 or 15 minutes of answering questions, there is a part 2 scheduled for live, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys more hands-on, because just talking about eyelash extensions is a little not to the what's the right way of saying it? For me, it's not the best way to kind of share the education. I feel like we need to show like at least on a mannequin head, show certain things so you guys can get the most out of it compared to just talking about it. So we'll talk a little bit Q&A about lashes right now, and about at 11:15 Pacific time, which is in like 10-15 minutes, there's a part 2 live scheduled, and that's where I'll go on the hands-on part. So I've set up a mannequin head and I'll show you guys a little bit of eyelash extensions 101, new techniques, and of course this is aimed for the new lash artist or the lash artist that wants a little bit refresher about their skills. So before we get started, I will also answer any questions that jump in or that come into the chat. So feel free to ask me questions there. I'm more than happy to assist you guys. Oh, I forgot to press record on my mobile. There we go. So like I said, for today's live, we're going to do Q&A about 15 minutes, and then part 2 will be hands-on. I will demonstrate eyelash extensions one-on-one, how to apply some tips and tricks on the actual mannequin head. And we can talk about products, whatever else you guys want to, just make sure to ask. But we did also get some questions that were asked to us previously, so I'll cover as much as I can with our limited time, but hopefully I could dedicate at least about 30 to 40 minutes to you guys. All right, so somebody did ask, hi Yegi, where can I buy a full kit, specifically the products you use? So we do have a website, it's yegibeauty.com. There's a starter kit that's priced as low as it can be for you to have like one of everything to get started. So if you want a very basic kit, that's the kit to start with. It's called the starter kit. And then, if you have a bigger budget, you want a bigger kit, we have a class kit, we have a pro kit. So it depends how much you want to spend. But all of the kits are geared for the lash artist who's starting out to at least have one of everything you need to get started. But we can talk about specific products that I'm going to use for the videos today so you can see. Okay. So before we jump into the hands-on part, one question somebody asked was, how do you balance your work and personal life with social media being such a big part of it? So this was kind of a newer question, and I really liked the question because it's a big challenge for me actually to do that now with 2 kids. But I do have help from a team. So that was how I was able to still be active on social media, still be able to teach or have clients or run a business, and then also have a family and a life. It is impossible to do everything on your own as a small business owner. And it is really difficult to also give that control to somebody else. But it is very important, and that was pretty much the only way I was able to be able to balance and do so much. I did hire people to help me with certain tasks that I didn't have time to do, like editing videos or helping me reply to some comments. And these are girls that have been trained by me, so they know how to reply and what I would say, and just kind of like having many assistants, but everybody does their job and has their titles. And I slowly added people to the team to be able to do all of that. But in the beginning, it was really difficult balancing the social media aspect of it with, taking clients full time and also trying to have a personal life. But the way I would do that is just make it a habit with each of my clients to just at least take before and after photos, because that was the minimum kind of requirement for people to see your work in order for them to like your work and for them to book you so you can, make money with the clients. So I would say, like, taking as much photos and videos and clips as you can as you have your live clients with you, and then maybe schedule 1 hour of your day. It could be in the middle of your day if you feel like you need a break from clients, or at the end of your day to sit down and kind of like edit, plan out those posts, or use a scheduling system to schedule those for your social media. But the key thing is, you want to be effective with your time and really sit down and schedule of what you want to do and when, and be realistic. If you're going to take 2 3 clients, you want to block out the time that's needed for those 2 3 clients, and then schedule a time, let's say for social media it could be 30 minutes or 1 hour for social media, and then you can take 2 or 3 more clients afterwards. So I think having schedules, plans, and lists was the key way for me to be able to do so much, until I grew to a point where I could afford to hire somebody to help me with certain things. Hopefully that answers your question. So we have yes. So Diamond asked if the starter kit has the tweezers that I use, and yes, it does. It does have the basic tweezers that I like to use for classic and volume sets. Now we have higher quality tweezers that are even better, but they are a little bit more costly, and people can buy those separately. Our newest one is the gold tweezers. They're called A-line gold tweezers, and they're just a little bit more durable, lighter, softer to the touch, more precise. They will last you longer. So if you want to invest in additional tweezers, that's the one I would recommend currently, and you guys will see them in action in a few minutes when we do the hands-on portion for our live. The starter kit price is about $150, and yes, that includes like one of everything you need to get started. And then the gold tweezers, each tweezer, there's 4 different variations, and each tweezer I believe is like $39 or so, but we'll go ahead and put the link in the comments. I do have Elise, who's my assistant and producer and editor and everything she is, that helps me with YouTube. So she's gonna add the link in there for you guys too for the gold tweezers. With that said, let's move on to some other questions we've had as far as okay, since we're talking about tweezers, somebody that asked, do you have any tips on finding the right tweezer to use, and how do you clean the tweezers? So we have asked uh, thank you. So we have answered this question before. So we do have many different sizes and shapes of tweezers. So there's different lengths, different thicknesses, different weights. So, and the tweezers are kind of like pens. So you do want to see which one feels right in your hand when you're lashing. But in general, for the very basics, you need at least one straight tweezer in order for you to use to apply classic eyelashes. And you need one tweezer in order for you to isolate eyelashes. So you want to pick the ones. My live disappeared. Maybe because it was scheduled only until 11:15 at least.
I still see you.
You see me?
Yeah. Did it?
Oh no, it's here. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, guys. I just had another screen pop up and I thought it disappeared. Okay. No. So let's keep going. So tweezers. So you need we usually use a straight tweezer for the application part for classic lashes. Then there's a second tweezer, which would be a curved tweezer, which is used for isolation. And you can use that same tweezer for classic, hybrid, or volume style for isolating. So you want to see which curved tweezer is good for you to use to isolate. And in a few minutes, I'll jump onto the hands-on part. So all of you that are here for the talking Q&A portion, make sure you join the other live that I'm about to start for part 2, and you guys will see more hands-on with the dolly head, and we'll answer questions there too and demonstrate application and all of that. But yes, so straight tweezers for classic, curved tweezers for volume. There's many different types. You need to try and see which one fits better for you. Of course, the most important thing is for it to be precise, for it to be light and easy to control in your hands. And then after that, like I said, I would at least try like 3 recommended ones and go from there and see which one is a best fit for you, because it they all do feel a little different. um okay. So, one last question before we jump on to the hands-on part. It says, what glue would you recommend for beginners? So if you're a beginner, we have a all-purpose glue, and it's the Yegi Premium Glue. And this glue comes in a 2 milliliter, which is like a tiny sample size, a 5 milliliter, and also a 10 milliliter. So this glue is almost like gold when you're getting started because it has a high variety of a humidity level. So it's from between 30 to 70 humidity, and it'll work with all your lash sets. So you can do classic, volume, hybrid with this glue. And if your room conditions aren't ideal either, again, it has a big variety. Or if you're practicing one day in school, one day in your house, one day, on a mobile client, when you're a beginner and you're kind of getting things going, it will give you a good variety. So the Yegi Premium Glue, again, it comes from a 2 milliliter to 5 to 10 milliliter. And the reason why we have the small size too is, again, when you're a beginner and you're not using your glue as much, you have to remember when we open our glue, after you open it, it's good for about 3 months, okay? Because it does dry out after the open date of 3 months, and it does not work as properly. Even if it feels like it's kind of working, it's not bonding, and it's not going to have a long retention time after it has been opened for 3 months. So when you open a glue, you want to make sure you write the date on the bottle, and that's how you're going to know that after 3 months you're going to replace that glue. And the good thing about it coming in a 2 milliliter is that you won't have to waste the glue, because if you're not using it as much when it's 2 milliliter, and it can run out or get replaced after the 3 months. Now if you do a lot of clients, that's when it's more efficient to buy the bigger size glue, because you won't run out of it and you'll end up using it before the 3 month kind of expiration date after opening. Awesome. Let's see what other question. Let's answer one last one before we jump into the hands-on part. Okay, so somebody asked, how do you get fans to stick so well on the eyelashes? So this is for the volume fans. That's what people are usually having trouble with when they're beginners, is to get the full fan really bond so well to the natural eyelash. So what I would recommend for that is make sure the eyelashes are very well cleansed and they are dry before you put the primer on. So you want to cleanse them with a lash wash, dry them fully, put on a lash primer, dry that fully. Make sure you're using a good glue for volume lashes. So for volume lashes, a fan, you should use a faster drying glue. So you should use a glue anywhere from a half a second glue to a 1 second glue. Maybe, yeah, I would use a fast drying glue. So half a second to 1 second glue when you're doing your fans. because you want the glue to dry really quickly when you're placing it on the natural lash. If your glue is not drying quickly enough as you're placing it, that's when your fan is going to kind of lose shape, it's going to shift, or it's not going to stick good enough. Okay, so that's one thing you want to make sure of. And in order for your glue to also dry and cure properly, is you want to make sure whatever the instructions for your glue humidity is, you're following that in your room. So this is the most common mistake. People don't follow the humidity and the temperature for their room in order for the glue to work properly or for the glue to bond and have good retention. So you want to make sure if the glue's humidity is between 50 to 60%, you have a hydrometer and you're checking your room humidity constantly to make sure if you need to, you will make your room more humid, or if it's too humid, you'll make your room a little bit more dry by using dehumidifiers. So that's very, very important. And the temperature too. If your room is really cold or really hot, the glue is not going to work well. But that's also why I love the premium glue as a starter glue for all purposes. Because it has such a big range for humidity and room temperature. So it's hard to kind of get those pieces wrong with that glue. But again, double check that. And don't use too much glue. If you use too much glue when you're applying a fan, again, it's not going to dry fast enough, and the lash is not going to bond to the extension is not going to bond to the natural lash as well. So those are kind of the few things you can check. Any other questions about glues and retention? So somebody asked also in our comments, I want to become a lash artist. Any tips or advice? I've been looking at beauty schools lately. Lashing is actually a whole thing, right? It's a new technique. If you've never done it or if you've never been in the beauty industry. So what I would recommend is maybe take a lash certification course or a training course, and really start practicing before you decide to go to beauty school. Because the last thing you want is go sit through fully your beauty school program, which if it's an esthetician program, I think the shortest program is like 5 to 6 months. So if you go do all that schooling and then you realize, okay, maybe this is not right for me, then you're wasting a lot of time and energy and money into that. So I like to tell people, like, do those things kind of together. So if you're not sure if you like it or if it's right for you or where do you start, I would definitely start with maybe a lash online course, or a physical certification course, see if it's right for you, and then do the full beauty school thing for it. But again, remember, if you are just going to get into it, it is a new skill. It does take time and patience and practice. And if this is something you want to do, the first couple times you try it, it's going to feel like maybe it's not right for you, and that's normal. So that part of it's normal. But after trying it and practicing and maybe getting some education, I think that's when you can decide, okay, this is something I want to do, or if this is something I don't want to do. And one other thing I do want to mention about lashing is initially people think you need a lot of patience, it's very tedious. The reality of it is, honestly, you don't need that much patience. It's almost a therapeutic act because it's repetitive. It's just in the beginning, that learning curve, once you do figure out that skill, and it's a motor skill actually, because your hands are going to start almost doing it automatically after practicing. Then once you get over that hump, that learning curve, that's when it's going to feel like, oh, this is super easy, I don't even have to think about it, right? But initially every single person thinks it's not right for them, it's like too difficult. So don't give up on it until you really give it a fair try and practice a little bit with a good coach or a trainer. I think that's like key if this is something you want to do seriously. All right, guys. So that was all our Q&A that I wanted to answer just in front of the camera. So I want to show you guys a little bit of hands-on for this live, see how you guys like that. So I'll jump into the part 2. So I'm going to end this live stream, and this will be a new live stream. You guys will see it. It's scheduled for 11:15 Pacific time, and it says part 2 Q&A for today's date. So I'll see you guys there. Just give me like 4 to 5 minutes to move over to my dolly head.